a law that fined you for having a third child, an island where no one was allowed to be born or die, and a husband and wife fighting in a ring to end their marriage. These are 5 real rules and laws, so strange they sound made up, and the last one will probably mess with your head the most. If you like discovering the weirdest rules people have actually had to live under, hit subscribe for more real stories that are hard to believe. Let's start with a rule that turned a broken marriage into a public fight. Imagine ending a marriage not in a courtroom, but in a fighting ring, where a husband and wife have to battle each other to decide who wins their freedom. Long ago, in parts of medieval Germany, there was a strange and scary idea called divorce by combat. Instead of only going to a church court to solve marriage problems, some stories say couples could fight each other in front of everyone to see who was right. A fighting teacher named Hans Talhofer made a book in 1467 that shows pictures of these battles. In his drawings, the husband stands in a deep hole with his waist stuck at ground level. One of his arms is tied, and he holds a heavy club. The wife can move around freely. She wears special weighted clothes and sometimes swings a cloth with a stone inside it. The goal is not always to kill the other person, but to knock them down, hurt them so they can't fight, or pull them into or out of the hole. These images are very dramatic, but there's no strong proof that this was a common official way to get divorced. Most experts today think it was more like a ritual or a story-like idea, not a normal law. Still, it shows how people in the Middle Ages sometimes use public and scary trials to judge people's behavior in marriages. From people fighting their own spouses, we move to courtrooms where the ones on trial weren't even human. Imagine walking into a courtroom and seeing a pig, a rat, or even a rooster on trial for a crime, and getting punished just like a person. From about the 1200s to the 1600s, parts of Europe had a very strange tradition. Animals could be put on trial in real courts. In places like France, Switzerland, and Germany, pigs, cows, dogs, and even rats were sometimes blamed for things like hurting people, ruining crops, or damaging property. One of the most famous cases happened in 1386 in France. A pig was accused of killing a child. The court treated the pig almost like a human criminal. It was dressed in human clothes, taken to a public square, and then hanged while everyone watched. Another shocking story comes from 1474 in Basel, Switzerland. A rooster was put on trial because it had laid an egg, which people thought was a sign of dark magic. Townspeople believed such an egg could hatch a monster, so they said the rooster was working with the devil. The poor bird was found guilty and burned at the stake. These trials were not just silly superstitions to the people back then. Animals could have lawyers, witnesses spoke in court, and judges followed proper legal steps. For medieval people, this was a serious way to show that their laws, religion, and ideas about right and wrong covered every part of life, even animals. Those animal trials feel like pure superstition, but this next rule is modern and all about money. Did you know that in Kerala, India, there was once a plan to make families pay a fine of 10,000 rupees if they had a third child? In the 2000s, leaders in Kerala were worried about the population growing too fast. Some experts suggested a very strict idea. They wanted families to stop at 2 children. If a couple had a third child, they might have to pay a fine of 10,000 rupees, and that child might not get some government benefits like free schooling or free health care. This idea came from a group called the Kerala Law Reforms Commission, led by Justice V. R. Krishna Iyer. They believed that smaller families could help improve women's health and give children a better life. Later, a draft called the Kerala Women's Code Bill of 2011 also supported the 2-child rule, and even talked about punishments like fines or jail if people broke it on purpose. But this plan never became an actual law. Many religious groups, activists, and citizens spoke out against it. They said it was unfair, could hurt poor families, and might go against basic human rights. In the end, Kerala's real success in controlling population came from better education, strong health care, and people choosing smaller families on their own, not from punishing parents with money fines. So the 10,000 rupees third child tax stayed only as an idea on paper and a big example of how population rules can cause huge arguments. From a rule that never became real law, we go to one that can actually hit drivers in the wallet. Did you know you can be fined around 70 euros in Germany if your car runs out of fuel on the Autobahn? On the German Autobahn, stopping for no good reason is not allowed. Running out of fuel is seen as something you could have avoided, because drivers are expected to check their fuel before driving on such fast roads. The 70 euro fine comes from the rules against stopping or parking on the motorway when you don't have a proper emergency. If your car just stops for a short time because you ran out of fuel, the fine might be around 30 euros. But if you leave your car there and walk off to get fuel, that's treated like parking and can lead to a higher fine, close to 70 euros. If your stopped car causes danger or an accident, the punishment can be much more serious. There isn't a special law that only says you can't run out of fuel. Instead, the normal traffic laws about stopping and parking on the motorway are used. To stay safe and avoid fines, fill up early and take the next exit when your fuel warning light turns on. A fine for running out of gas sounds strict, but our final rule is on a whole different level. Imagine living on an island where no one is allowed to be born and no one is allowed to die. Before we get to this last mind-bending rule, here's a quick reminder. If you're enjoying these unbelievable real-life rules, hit subscribe so you don't miss the next wild story. Now let's visit the holy island where birth and death were officially banned. Welcome to ancient Delos, the holiest island in Greece, where birth and death were banned. Delos was a very special island in ancient Greece. People believed it was the birthplace of the twin gods Apollo and Artemis, so the island was seen as holy and needed to stay pure. To protect this holiness, the city of Athens decided to make some extreme rules. In the 500s BCE, the Athenian leader Pisistratus ordered the first big cleanup of Delos. Graves that were close to the main temple were dug up and moved away so that dead bodies would not be near the holy place. Later, in 426 BCE, Athens went even further. All the graves on Delos were opened, and the bones and offerings were moved to a nearby island called Rhenea. After this, a sacred order said that no one was allowed to be born or die on Delos anymore. Pregnant women, very sick people, and the elderly who were close to death had to leave the island and go to Rhenea instead. Because of these rules, people couldn't live on Delos full-time. The island became a place mainly for religious festivals and official events. This also meant families couldn't easily claim land there by inheriting it, which helped Athens stay in control of the island. Even today, there are similar ideas in some holy places, like the Itsukushima Shrine in Japan, where birth and death have long been discouraged to keep the area spiritually clean. From couples fighting in a pit to end their marriage, to animals on trial, to islands banning birth and death, these rules show that human ideas of order and justice can be stranger than anything in fiction. Which of these real rules shocked you the most? Tell me in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like this video and hit subscribe if you enjoyed it.